Digital Bathroom Association is an association that started last year on the premise that we are all going to experience the digital space to enter into the bathroom. We found it was really interesting to create a forum and an opportunity for thought leaders to share their views. Our last session was really about how do we maintain privacy and security in the bathroom and privacy of the data. The goal of this is to present what we have seen interesting at this CES. My 17 years at CES. It's the first time I do it from my living room. So if we go to the next slide, please. So just to give you a sense on the CES this year, it was 25% of the attendees in terms of journalists. So even in the media side, the CES was way smaller. And the number of exhibitors was divided by 3 or 4, but the number of attendees was also divided by 5. And even I think those numbers are a little overrated versus what really happened. Despite that, there were a lot of vendors, and so I wanted to summarize what I found in the bathroom into those 6 themes. So let's first start with touchless experience with COVID. Next slide, please. Next, please. So first things first, we introduced a touchless mirror that gives a complete check-in on your face and is able to help you relax and diagnose temperature. All the interface is touchless. We've seen these trends of smart mirror being reinforced at CES, a couple of vendors there. The next one is Color, who is also providing a lot of touchless devices. I will name a few. And it was one of the big themes this year. It's like, how do you create experiences where you don't have to touch anything in the bathroom? And you will see that hygiene and cleanliness is one of the key themes of this year from my experience. The next, please. So not only have they touchless toilets, but they also have touchless bathroom faucets. Really touchless is a big theme. The next slide, please, is another theme about sustainability. So it usually crosses a couple of categories, but this one is a sustainable water system. So even without water, you have a water reserve, a water tank that is recycled and cleaned to allow you to clean your hands in a place where there is no water available. I think it's a very smart, it's coming from Japan, and an ongoing trend to able to have some level of hygiene, so a portable bathroom if you want. And so that's quite interesting. There's a couple of other vendors that are doing showers to maintain and manage water consumption. In this one, I want to highlight the fact that this specific shower has a Bluetooth speaker, so you can listen to your music as well, and it's fully powered by the power of water. So sustainability in terms of electricity consumption is not brand new, but it's the first time it's applied to Bluetooth speaker and not only to Bluetooth connectivity. So the third part is AI for the bathroom. Obviously, our mirror was a big example. I want to name this one, who got an award as well. It's called Lux Lab, and what they did is they integrated LiDAR. The LiDAR is a laser radar that is used in cars, and the price of autonomous cars, and the price of these LiDARs have dramatically reduced. And just as an ongoing trend, we will see more and more radars inside your bathroom. This radar has been trained with AI to be able to recognize your gesture, so you can control your shower by just doing the right gesture. Quite interesting and innovative. The fourth part is remote health, with one of the things that is really topical. It's a little button that you can put on your body, and it will detect early symptoms such as temperature and others that you have COVID symptoms. the other one that is keep improving is in the heart beat recognition. So we keep having a detection and management of cardiac cardiovascular diseases, and that's also quite becoming quite popular. This one is a device that you can put in your nose that allows you to manage pollen allergies, and so it's an electronic way of treat allergies with little light treatments with light technology. Quite innovative, and it seems to work. In terms of remote medicine, you also have teledentistry becoming a big thing. Philips going into this space according to their B2B strategy with their connected toothbrushes. Next is beauty and wellness. You will see it cross different categories, but this one is homemade lipstick. So with a mix between electronics and chemistry, they are able to create your own lipstick color by playing with these three components and then just giving you the right level of each of the colors, so you can create any texture, any colors that you want for your lipstick. So L'Oreal did this. This one is a cream device, so it creates cream just for you to put on your face in a sustainable way. We have seen this in year past, but they keep refining the formula to create exactly the right formula that you can put on some cotton. So that also more sustainability and not using very expensive packaging. Um, Color also was very present into the wellness part, creating the spa experience with a mix between foam and and um, and bubbles and scents and colors. So the stillness bath. We see this as an ongoing trend to add a little bit of technology into creating a super relaxing experience. So you see no technology, but there are plenty behind it. And the last category I want to mention for you, future innovators or future player in the bathroom, is what we can integrate soon inside the bathroom. So next is L'Oreal that has created something to improve water saving, to dye your own, to create your own color. So that's for the beauty salon where they help you optimize the water consumption as well as the product consumption, and that's quite interesting. This one will have a huge impact in terms of creating smart mirrors because LG came out with a fully transparent OLED display, meaning we can add this to reflecting mirrors and create fully interactive and full screen mirrors. Next is Nobi. I think that's quite interesting. It's a lamp that is also a fall detection engine. So you have some radars that are able to check whether you are falling in your bathroom. So putting into the lamp is actually quite a brilliant idea in terms of fall detection, and it is the number one issue in terms of damages for insurers in the bathroom. Next is I think that's one. It's a smart faucet, so you don't have to touch it again. It will get exactly at the right temperature. Um, and I think that's almost it. Next slide, please. Uh, I'm going to. So that's a smart lock, and that's something that you can use as well to prevent enter in the bathroom. Next is no longer me, but just to summarize, this CS was no better nor worse in terms of innovation of the bathroom, but electronics keeps going in. The big trends to summarize are as usual, but mostly COVID driven. So hygiene, there is a lot of, I haven't mentioned, but there is a lot of blue sanitization, so blue LCD sanitization, touchless. And so the COVID is in everybody's mind, and remote medicine is as well in everybody's mind. I let Marielle give us her favorites.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. That was already quite an extensive summary of what we have seen on CES. I also visited the digital CES this year, and unfortunately last year I was there at the exposition, so I've seen some things that were coming back this year as well. And one of those things that I thought was really interesting is the first one I want to show to you, is the do-it-yourself medical checks that are going to be more seriously now. This is the one that offers a blood test at home. Depending on what you want to test, you get a different test unit, and you can do a test with your mobile phone. Maybe we can show it a little bit of the video that I found. I think these kind of tests are still really, yeah, they still create question marks as well, because you do a blood test at home with 1 drop of blood. We all have seen the documentary, I think. But still, it is something that will probably, in the end, be a reality. And this company from Korea, I think, has been now for 2 years at CES, and they seem to be still developing. So I'm following with curiosity to see if this where this ends, because it looks promising. The next trend that I spotted at CES was a combination of health checks with a food advice, and even as far as seeing food as a medicine instead of something that could create diseases. That's an interesting development, and one of the first things we saw, I also saw that last year, is Bisou. It's a urine test that people can do at home. It's quite an easy test. It's not like the medical toilet, but you can use a stick to do a test, and then analyze with a few drops what's going on in your body. But I think the interesting thing here is as well that they connect it to a diet or a food advice, which I see a lot now, and which is of course also logical, but it's interesting because it really starts to go in the direction of biohacking with food choices, and of course also exercise. So this is a very simple unit that you can easily adapt and easily put in your bathroom. Yeah, Nino, can you go to the next? Yeah, I think this is the same one that we probably all have seen it. It got a lot of exposure in the media. It's the wellness toilet that Toto introduced this year. I don't think it's really worked out very well, because if you look at the video, you don't see a lot. But I think the interesting part of this one as well is that they connect it to food. So they connect it to food advice. Let me see, because there is, we have the video, but on the video you can already see that there's not so much going on. I think it's more a concept, an idea, and probably they will need some more years to develop. So I think Dave and Steve and Monte are a lot further with the development of the medical toilet. We will hear about that later. But it's interesting that Toto is now also positioning themselves in this direction. Another thing that I discovered was Elo Health. Elo Health is also, again, and they really have the vision to transform food from the cause of a disease to a medicine. They have a way to measure all kinds of biomarkers and then come up with a really personalized set of supplements, food supplements that you get in a little bag. And then they follow your development, and you will get different supplements along the way. So this is really specific and again linked to food. In the area of biohacking, there are also other things that are more related to mental biohacking. And one that I saw was I saw that last year as well, is the biohacking orb, which is a chair. So you like, I don't know exactly what it is. It's a chair that you can lay down in it. I tried it last year. It was really relaxing. And you can choose different programs. And it's like a wellness hack, depending on your what you need at that point. There's one for anxiety. There are different things that you can do. And it's a combination of light, sound, scent, movement. And because of the combination of the different things, it works quite fast. So that's why you can do a really fast biohack in 10 minutes or something. And then you say to feel a lot better after that. And the last thing that I have is, it was this, sorry. I shuffled a little bit with my trends. So this is the last thing, is the mental biohacking. So these were my trends, and now I think it's up to you, so to tell a little bit. I don't know if you have CES trends, but you do have spotted some trends in the area of the bathroom. So we are looking forward to your participation. Thanks.
Thanks, Marielle. And actually, I didn't have time to actually look at the CES event, so it's more about the trends that I have seen. And if you go to the next slide, I think the first point really is the most important one, and what we have seen is that you need to do the spend user experience, and then repurpose the data to manage the building or manage the restroom. So it's don't just spend something that that the customers won't even notice. So I mean, they need to interact. So I think these kind of the topics that you already mentioned about that from the CES, for example, the touchless mirror and so forth are good examples of these kind of a solution. So these are the kind of the same things what we have seen. So if we want to impress the customer, then it has nothing to do with the making, for example, air fresh or water clean and the room warm, because that's kind of the expectation already. So of the basics. So this is what we have seen, and I think one good example that could be related to washrooms as well is the car parking sensors. You use it and it helps you, so you can see that where is a free parking spot for you. But you can also repurpose that and track the data from that by business of the area. So I think the same thing can be related to the washrooms as well. So when it's the kind of the busiest times and so forth. And then the other thing is that especially when we are talking about healthcare, like and high traffic locations and places like hospitals, I mean these are kind of a high priority for infection control and good hygiene, and it's kind of also related to this customer satisfaction. And in some instances, for example, these patient satisfaction surveys are indicating that, and ratings are even sometimes related to the funding. So if you have these kind of washrooms and hygiene kind of things, for example, hand hygiene and dispensers are out of cleaning or cleaning solvent. So this is kind of could relate to, like, in a bigger picture of their funding as well. So these are the kind of things that what we are seeing. And if you are getting this data automatically and in a real time, you can obviously improve these kind of things. Then if you are going to also the same thing, kind of to the safe return to the office spaces, what everybody's talking about currently is how do you get people to go back to the office, and what is the prevention of the current pandemic. So it can in our view, it can kind of sum it up in three things. It's about efficient cleaning, it's a good hand hygiene, and it's also distancing. So, and all of these kind of digital tools and can obviously help quite a bit of these solutions. And obviously cleaners have taken a big role in this fight against the pandemic. They are doing efficient cleaning, but and when everything is actually based on data, so they can see that which areas have been used, where are these enough, where are the supplies missing, is there a soap available, is there a hand towels available, and so these kind of things are really important, and what we are seeing quite a bit of from people to coming back to us. And then if you're going to the next slide, obviously integration to several different systems and things. This is something what we have created. Is this kind of a blue light things for showing in the cubicles, showing that the occupancy information, if it's occupied or not. Connected lights and sending data to the cloud and showing a visible in real time for displays and applications. For example, outside of the washrooms. Providing the status if when the cleaning has been done, is there enough space or free cubicles in the restroom, or where is, for example, the same, where is the closest available and clean restroom. So these kind of things, what we have done, and having this kind of a usage percentage according to the cubicle usages, and allowing the entrance and restricted information shown clearly at the front of these washrooms is kind of a key. And what we have seen is that what people are requesting, maybe they are coming back and say that they still want to actually have only let's say 50% of usages in the washrooms. So even if there would be 10 cubicles available, they only want to actually occupy 5 at the same time to keep the social distancing available. So these are kind of the things that what we have seen. So really not that much from the CES, but
next speaker is Monte, who is going to tell a little bit about the cloud-based platform that he has developed. And well, I'll leave it up to you to explain, Monte, because I'm not trying to. Okay. You can start if you like.
I've been interested in what was going on at CES and what was presented there, and it's been interesting to see the press reports that came out from it. But I'm equally interested in what happens in the future as we try and integrate lots of devices in the bathroom. And so just like Juso just said, integration of different systems is really critical. Okay. I'm thrown off because I got 2 cameras on me too, but that's okay. As we look forward, we see a lot of consideration that needs to go into how do we handle the data, and how do we maintain security and privacy, and how do we handle integration between different vendors and different devices. Can we go to the next slide? So to start with, as we look at digital bathroom utilization, we know that there are a lot of opportunities for one person to use one restroom, one device, and also to use many devices at home, at the job, at the gym, etc. And we have one user that uses multiple devices in one bathroom at the same time that they're in there. So the smart mirror, the smart toilet, the smart shower head, whatever. And then we have one device that's used by many users over time. And so one restroom stall might get used by several people over the course of a day. And so what we are thinking about that looking forward is that the user would like their own analytics for their health and wellness calculated from input from all of the devices. And so no matter which device they use throughout the day, it should capture the data relative to that user together and do their overall health and wellness calculation, not by any single device, but by the aggregation of all of the data sources, both over a distribution of devices and over a distribution of time. That means that the user is going to need to retrieve the data from all of the devices, their personalized data, and multiple locations, the home devices, the job devices, the gym devices, and also between all the vendors. So information from the toilet, from the mirror, from the scale. So all of that data access requires that we be able to show and see the appropriate authentications, and that we only have the right people accessing the right data. Next slide. So along with that, if we're going to use different devices and different people, we also need to do different device discovery. So figuring out what is actually accessible in a bathroom, and knowing whether or not I have access rights and have contracted or purchased these devices for my use. In a home bathroom system, that's easy to do. You install it. In a commercial bathroom environment, that's less easy to do because you're coming into an environment perhaps for the first time. And so device discovery is very important, and knowing how to access the device controls and how to access the device data should not be required to have any information about the installation previously. And so we kind of need a service advertising protocol that's been used in many other industries. But a device discovery protocol may be proposed by the Digital Bathroom Association that would help us to identify and discover these devices. That would substantially help the user experience. So go ahead, the next slide. Along with that, in a home environment, but especially in a commercial environment, user upsell opportunities exist all over the place. And so the user traditionally would pay for the standard device features, but the service providers may have additional device capabilities and other options which could be engaged and facilitated. And so once done, then the user upsell needs to provide a new user interface, user experience for those features. And so that applies to both conditions, and the advertising opportunity should be available to all of the device vendors for any circumstance where these are installed. The revenue should go back to all the appropriate people. And so having chains of protocols allow us to share the revenue back to all the participants, and a way of engaging the advanced UI UX capabilities based upon the upsell moment are important. Next slide. So, and last time we met, we talked about compliance and security, but I want to just continue to highlight some differences we see as we get more and more devices out in the world. The user data does need to be secure, and the devices perhaps should only store the anonymous data. That allows them to not be concerned about the privacy concerns as much. So if the anonymous data is available at the devices, then you can facilitate a lot of big data machine learning AI models without a risk of a privacy leak. And that means that we can do a lot more data computation across devices and across vendors in a more interesting way. The personalization of the data should probably only occur when the user retrieves their own data so that they know who they are. They're not worried about privacy leaks. But that retrieval also needs to be anonymous so that you're not indicating to the source of the data storage who the user is. And then the user would have to manage the association between their own identity and which of the stored data would be interesting to them. And so there's lots of opportunity in those areas to improve substantially compliance and security mechanisms. So I think that's the last slide. Is that right? Yeah, so I'll swap over to Dave.
I'm Dave Chrisman, and what we've done is Monty and I worked for Medic for the last couple of years, and we've actually started our own company, actually two companies. One is the software side, which Monty just talked about, and Ponsana Health is we've licensed the Medic technology for commercial and public restroom space. So that's what we're going to be focused on in the device side. Can you go to the first slide, please? It's just a picture of our prototype of our new toilet. Can you go to the next slide, please? So really what I want to talk about is kind of some of the sensors we've seen coming through the market. So CES had a lot of new devices, but we're also seeing an influx of new sensors. So PPG sensors, we've already seen, they're in the smartwatches. Spectrometers are coming into healthcare pretty quickly by being able to analyze the urine, the fecal matter, and spit. We can actually run that through a spectrometer and break that down into constituent analytes. There are roughly 4,000 different medically relevant analytes that are available in urine. Fecal matter is being analyzed. I mean, it's a new and upcoming field. So we actually don't know the number of analytes in fecal matter yet. We're in the several thousand analytes at this point, and other biomarkers. So that's a very interesting place. And Toto announced that they're doing some fecal analysis. Currently, from what we can tell, they're doing very little on the chemical side, more on characteristics. But we think that's going to be a very large growth space for spectrometers in healthcare. On the other side, there's a NanoFET, and this is actually a sensor we've developed in-house. that allows us to measure all kinds of bio compounds, proteins, viruses, bacteria, pathogens, and prions. So we can actually program these nanofets. It's just a very small chip. You put a little sample on it, and we can detect things like coronavirus without having to amplify it. We don't have to do a PCR amplification. What this allows us to do is actually see the disease way earlier than you can in a typical test, as well as do in-situation tests. So we can actually detect COVID in the toilet within about 2 minutes on a very small sample size. We're very excited about that technology coming forward, and as we can see that being amplified into many, many different kinds of devices. We could take these nanofets and build a panel of them and do 10 tests at the same time. So we're excited about that. We're also seeing a lot of usage of thermal and visual images, much like Thomas's mirror, and we're seeing that being used pretty extensively going forward. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this allows devices that we're seeing come into the market. So we have a toilet seat that does all of our cardio health components, and that should be ready to go to market this summer. In the middle is a smart scale prototype that we've built that uses thermal imaging and visual imaging to do vein health, as well as things like blood flow, necropathy, diabetic ulcers, these kinds of things we can detect with a foot scale. Pollen Sense is a company we've recently come across, and Brent, we've invited him to the Digital Bathroom Association. He's the owner of Pollen Sense. And what they do is air management. So they can actually detect how much pollen is in the air, mold, and other types of air pollutants. And they're also working on a personal respirator unit where you can breathe into it and actually see these 1,000 VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds that can be detected in breath. And with the breath, the urine, and other detectors, we really think that there's a new phase of human health coming. The ability to get that information into the hands of the people, and then as Marielle talked about, tying that information back to our food consumption, we really believe is going to fundamentally change the way we live, we eat, we manage our health. And whether these devices end up in a toilet or a mirror or in a scale, it really doesn't matter. It's the fact that we can now pull all that data together, as Monty talked about, and pulling it all into one spot where we can get a clear picture of our health, and then potentially share that picture with our healthcare providers via telemedicine. That really changes the paradigm. It allows us to move into preferably a much healthier future. Next slide, please. So things like this are what we're working on. We're working on the ability to, if you can see behind here, there's a lot of risk scores that we can calculate using AI. We can take the data from all these devices and we can start getting a really good picture of what are our health risks personally. You know, what is my health risk compared to Monty's health risk? And how do I compare to the demographic that I live in? Those are the things that help me manage my health on a daily basis. If I can see daily that I'm trending towards an unhealthy situation or even trending towards a healthy situation, it allows me to make better decisions on things like food and exercise and environment. So this is where we're going. We're very excited about the future. We're very excited about working with the Digital Bathroom Association. And thank you for your time.
I think I need to thank all of the speakers. I think it was really inspiring.
Thank you very much.
Be safe. Thank you, Nini, for organizing.
See everyone again.
We meet again in March. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.